Welcome back, everyone. Today, I decided to do a tier list, considering that we are going to get a patch pretty soon, at least I assume. And also because I'm going to be away for a few days, and I didn't have time and energy to record more gameplay, so, I thought that might be cool. Haven't done one in a while. Also haven't recorded a video, actually, in quite a while, but here we are. So let's quickly see. From last time, I still had the bullshit tier, like over S tier. I'm thinking about whether I think I will leave it in, honestly, because like there is, I think at least one division that I will put in there, maybe two. We will see. I think I will just go through it in the order it is here. It's a little chaotic, but it's fine. So this is in the order of the DLCs, I think, at least. Somewhat. At least for the beginning. Okay, well, anyway. So, let's start with the two of the most up-to-date ones. So, Wonya and First Cav. Also, this is like, obviously a subjective tier list. I haven't played all divisions. I don't know all divisions too well. So, you can disagree, and that's fine. It's just what I feel like, and also this is specifically for only one. So to both of the first divisions, Wonya and First Cav. Let's start with Wonya. So Wonya, while it is a cool division, and a pretty unique one, actually. I think it's like high B tier, probably. I'll just put it here now. Obviously, I can readjust it later on as well. Because the spam of base T-72s is actually not that bad. You get the one card of like good T-72s, quote unquote. I mean, they're good because they have smoke. That's already pretty nice for this division. You do also have, I think, one card of BMP2s. And of course the Ataka ATGM, which is very powerful. But having the T-72s without any smoke can be just very detrimental on certain maps. Like I'm thinking about Vertigo right now. And I can see them being very strong in the middle, but then once you go over the middle, the T-72s just falling off in effectiveness horrendously. Because they're obviously, because they're old, they also have the shorter range on their main gun, so... and the activation points in the division aren't actually that great, so you can like either spam tanks or infantry, which is a bit rough, because you also, even if you spam tanks, you don't have that many of them, actually. It's fine, but it's not exceptional. And so that's why I think it's high B tier, because it's like playable, but not too crazy. First Cav, I think this is, it's so hard to say, because it's so unbelievably situational. I think I will put it in A tier, but it will be a bit lower A tier. Simply because it has very pronounced weaknesses. Like it's AA, and the fighters are also not too great. They're like good enough, but not too great, yeah, as I said. And because you have the M1 mod, so a fairly expensive ground asset, you do really want to have the protection from the air. And while your infantry isn't as expensive, you only have very few squads of them, so you also want to protect them from the air as much as possible. I don't really have the best tools for that. So I think somewhere low A tier is fine. Also the Brads, like very strong IFV, but if you want to take both cards of them, that means you have low, like a lower amount of high HP infantry, so on and so forth. And honestly, I think that's how a division should be. Not in the sense of every division should be like 1-1 like First Cav, but in the sense of if you want A, you have to sacrifice something in B or C. That's a cool division design, in my opinion. And then on the other hand, for example, making the key unit of the division cheaper then kind of makes sense. because the division isn't just overpowered on its own, like other divisions we will come to later. And so it's not as egregious, because the M1 mod is like objectively underpriced. It just doesn't matter as much, because the division overall is designed well. Now we come to Guzmán el Bueno, a division that I like a lot. Obviously has been nerfed quite significantly with the recent grenade launcher nerfs, which were totally justified. And the thing is, though, grenade launchers are still good. They're just not as overpowered as they were. And I think Guzmán el Bueno is... I'm honestly thinking about putting it in low A tier as well. It's probably even better than first Cav. That might be a little bit controversial. And it's also like, I'm not gonna die on this hill, but I think it's a very powerful division, because you just have so many AGLs, which are still strong. Your infantry is decent enough. They have an excellent AT launcher, most of them at least. You have also a decent recon tab with the recon squad, which is okay. It's like not anything crazy, especially because they're missing AT. They aren't actually good on the opener, I think, on their own at least. But they can be very good support for the opener, together with the Ginettes, which are a very good squad for the opener. A recon squad, that is. Still will lose out to airborne forward deployed, but for recon forward deployed, the Ginettes, or Ginettes, I'm not sure how they're pronounced correctly, are such a strong squad because of their fantastic AT launcher. Your M4D8s, the upgraded ones, are actually pretty deadly. And everything else is like, I mean, the helicopter type is obviously sad, but everything else is just like good or good enough. And you also get the towed with 2 or 3 millimeters, if I'm not completely mistaken. Like, I'm just doing this all from memory, by the way. I'm not looking at the decks right now, so also forgive me if I forget something. It's been a long day. So yeah, I think somewhere around A tier is fine. And also because the AGLs are on wheel transport, you are fairly mobile. So you don't have the problem of, for example, all your infantry having to choose M113s if you want fire support, which makes them slow. You have a lot of fire support, and it's still fast. So yeah, I think it's a decent division. Then we have the second Czech mechanized division. I don't even remember what it's called. I haven't played it that much, and the times I played it, I understood what the idea is. I just wasn't able to make it work. So I'm not sure whether I'm just not that good with the division, or I didn't crack the code, so to say. But I think it's somewhere in C tier. I just think it's not that great. You have the cheap tank spam, but you don't have that much of them. The infantry is pretty decent, but also not that crazy, honestly. It's like, I think, by the way, the cat wants to get into my room. So if there's this sounds in the background, that's my cat. Wait. Cat, what's going on? Hello. Okay, sorry, I had to let him in the room. So, I think somewhere in C tier is fine. It's not too bad, but it's also not very good. It's just a little bit meh. Yeah, like, it's okay, I guess. But it's just kind of worse than another division that will come up later, so yeah. Then, of course, we have the British H.D.R, and I think this is, honestly, I think this is an A-tier division. I think it's very good, and also kind of underrated for some reason. Now the Centurions have recently been nerfed. I don't even remember whether I have played it after the nerf at all or not. I honestly can't tell you. But even if the Centurions are nerfed, I think the division is still more than fine. Your infantry is still... Basically all your infantry is just 5 points too cheap, because Resolute is for free, even though it's like the most overpowered trait in all of WARNO. more or less. It also has a great loadout, your infantry that is. Then you also have the SAS, which are Soul Reapers against infantry. You get the Exceptional Recon Vehicle, which for NATO is actually like an Exceptional Recon Vehicle that has smoke and a gun, which is very rare for NATO. Every Soviet division has it, but for NATO, it's actually rare. You have a pretty cracked air tab. No seat, but it's kind of fine in my opinion, and also in my experience using it. And then you also have good tanks with the Challenger Mark II and the Chieftain Mark IX. Like, not exceptional, but I mean, the Chieftain Mark IX is a very cost-efficient tank, or decently cost-efficient. And then Challenger Mark II is, well, it's a heavy tank that you get a decent number of, and then you can get it to triple that, even though you take it vet 1 if you take a tank leader and then have a normal leader nearby it, which I think is a very strong combo. It is just a very unique playstyle you have to play the division with. But if you do it, it's pretty strong. Bloodhound is obviously a gambling machine, but you get 2 cards of Tornadoes as well. So it's not like you have to rely on the Bloodhound. Like, you get 2 cards of one of the best fighters in the whole of the game. And then you also get 1 card of the cheap Hawks, which are also pretty good in my opinion as a card, because they can be used to basically shield your fighter. So you send them out first, and then your enemy has to either shoot a missile to kill the Hawk, or focus your good fighter, but then the Hawk can get in range. And the Hawk has a very good missile, actually, a short-range missile. So you can basically saturate the airspace with them. And thus, I think it's a decent division. And it has an autoloader artillery piece. And that's always great to have. On the other hand, Tuya, I think this is also an A-tier division. Around the same level. I think it's better, though. I think it was actually S-tier before it got its nerfs recently. But now it's A-tier. Like, its T-72 got more expensive. The infantry that was too cheap also got more expensive. And that kind of made it a little worse again, which is absolutely fair enough. But it still has the T-80U whatever, the very great T-80U, T-64s, T-72s, the special variant that has more armor. The only thing you're lacking, I always say this when I play this division and talk about it, is the light tank, basically. And, well, long range ground AA piece. Those are the only things that it really misses. But it's not as bad because you have a great MiG-29. Then you also have very cheap long-range fighters with the Su-15. And the fighter in between with the MiG-23. You have the great MiG-21 cluster bomber, the fantastic MiG-21 HE bomber. Almost all your infantry has a Resolute. You get exceptional recon infantry with the GSR trait, and exceptional recon vehicles, of course, with the BRM1 that everybody gets. So you have exceptional recon out the ass. On near recon BMP1. That's a bit tough. Well, it's not tough, it's just unfortunate because the recon BMP2 is such a beast. But you have more than enough BMP2s in the infantry tab. And the OSA is also still a great AA piece. And you get great launchers. So, I think it kind of just has everything it needs except for the light tank. And so as long as you hold early on, it's an exceptionally powerful division in my opinion. Like, very powerful. It has its weakness, and a good player can abuse it on the right map as well, but overall, strong division. Now we come to the Southwick divisions. Yes, so Canada. Yes, hello, Mr. Cat. Canada. Oh, Canada. That's a little tough because I haven't played it a lot recently, and I also haven't seen it a lot, interestingly enough. Because I personally think it's also somewhere around A tier. Probably somewhere here, I think. I know not everybody agrees with that. Some people think Canada isn't that great, but I completely disagree. Because it has good Leopard 1s, and quite a lot of them. It has the F-18, that is actually good with the good missiles, not like the Spanish one. A bunch of other great CAS platforms with good bomb loadouts. Infantry that has very good infantry loadouts because you have Pioneers with double LMGs, which do a lot of damage against infantry and also synergize with their CQC loadout, which is a rare thing for close range infantry for some reason. I don't know why. You also get quite a lot of infantry, which is good. You have the ADATs, which is a bit... It's not the greatest AA piece actually, but because it has such a high ground range and high penetration, it's a very scary ATGM launcher actually, and you don't need that much AA considering you have the F-18s. You also have the towed Gepard gun, which is amazing. The blowpipe is unironically also a good card in my opinion, because you can take it with the blowpipe transport, take a double vet, and then you get 12 blowpipes for 25 points or something a piece. And every time you buy it, you get double blowpipes. That's kind of insane. Sure, it's a blowpipe. It's pretty shit, but it actually has a high anti-helicopter range for manpads. It's just shit against planes. But against helicopters, for the price, it's insanely efficient. And you have a decent recon type as well. Also with the Cougars, so you have a forward deployed light tank. Not the greatest, but it's forward deployed and wheeled, so it's also very fast. So, yeah, I just think it's a very good division. And you have the helicopters as well, with the AT missiles, with the AT missile rocket, or the AT rocket pods, which can kill any transport in like a matter of seconds, and can even kill tanks from the side if you get side shots on them. So, yeah, I think it's somewhere around A tier. Brunete. Like, man, this A tier is so stacked because I think Brunete, once again, very good division. Somewhere around here. Might even be better than Canada. Or Juya. Like, maybe I'll even put Brunete in low S tier, honestly. But I'm not sure. I think I will keep it at like very high A tier for now. Because Brunete has the forward deployed AMX-30s, which were buffed quite significantly. I'm pretty sure they're the only recon tech that is 4 per card at Vet 1. Which is quite insane, because the tank is really good. It has lower range, but decent penetration. The 50 cal that does good damage because it's coaxial and has extra accuracy. Your other tanks are also great. They actually have more DPS against infantry than the French ones, because you get a double 50 cal with one of them being stabilized. I mean, sure, you have to get a little bit closer, but it's not that much. Like, there's not like 500 meters difference or something between the autocannon and the HMG, so it's fine. And for the extra DPS, I think it's absolutely worth it. You get less of the high-end tank, or like worse, because you have more sub-leaders, of course, but it's worse because they don't get the extra pen, if I remember correctly. Which is actually a little painful, because the extra pen on the Bren is quite important. But you still also have the Hinetas for the forward deployed. You have the shittier F-18s, which are still a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but that's okay. You lack manpads. Oh yeah, also that's obviously one downside of Guzmán y Bueno, kind of forgot about that. But you also get quite a lot of HGLs. The AA gun that you can also put in buildings in the infantry tab. Good AA guns in the AA tab again. M110s. So, once again, fantastic artillery piece before the artillery rework. So, we will see how this is judged after the artillery rework. But for now, there's just so many great things about the division that I think it has to be high A tier. And because of the recon tank, you can play it extremely aggressively early on. And with the AMX-30s also being not exactly expensive, you can follow up this aggression quite well. And your infantry is like good enough to hold. Not the greatest, but it's good enough to hold, and also gets the great AT launcher. And with the helicopter tab, you have the cheap helicopters with ATGMs that are quite deadly, and the autocannon, so basically a Gazelle cannon, which at double vet does deal decent damage. Now, well, first Luftlande. Like, I think this is just D tier. It's like okay as a meme division, but yeah, I recently did a post about it on the Eugen Discord in the feedback channel. So if you haven't, go and give it a like, please, if you like it, of course. But yeah, my problem with this division is just that it's completely dysfunctional. Nothing in this division synergizes, like literally nothing. Everything just seems to be just clobbered together just to be there, but there's no idea behind the division. It's supposed to be mobile in the forests, but the infantry that gets the mobility bonus has no DPS on the move. It can't do anything. They lose all of their DPS when they're moving. So what's the point of the trait? Nobody knows. You have the special forces, what the Hochgebirgsjäger, that have double MMG, DMR, and a satchel charge. How does that make sense? That's a completely dysfunctional squad. Compare that to the Navy SEALs, and it's just depressing. And it's not about specifically the price, it's about the role that they're supposed to fill and how they're doing it. Navy SEALs are absolute monsters. Hochgebirgsjäger are a fucking joke. Because they lose at range to, like, medium machine gun squads, which are far cheaper and more numerous, and they lose at close range to, like, close range specialists, because they lose all the DPS. While being, like, twice as expensive. Well, not twice as expensive, but significantly more expensive. So what's the point? You don't have forward deployed AA. You basically don't have any AA at all outside of the one card of Gepards. Because for whatever reason, Belgians can get 2 cards of Mistrals in 16DE, even though it was like procured in the mid-90s. Which is, by Eugen's own admission, wildly out of range of March to War. But Luftlande can't get a single card of Stingers, like, give me a break. Even though the Stingers in the Dutch division is from the same program that West Germany got their Stingers. Yet they can't get them, but the Dutch can. And the Belgians can get their magical Mistrals out of who knows where. And then you also only have shotgun fighters. So you also can't even use your bombers because you can't protect them from air because they have no long-range AA and no long-range fighters. It just doesn't work. The idea is cool, but with how it is right now, it just doesn't work. And yeah, also all your infantry is like, except for the Panzergrenz, I guess, is pretty much 5 points overpriced because you pay extra for moving fast through forests, which gives you nothing. Resolute is free, by the way. So yeah, unfortunately, this is just pretty much entirely unusable. And also, like, the funny thing is, it's also unusable in team games. It's not even like it's unusable in 1v1, but good in team games. It's just bad everywhere. Nobody plays it. And now we come to another great division, 6E. So, I think this division right now might even deserve a low S tier, honestly. Because, first of all, you get the Recon AMX 10s, which already makes it like a tier above everything else. Because the Recon AMX 10s, they have cloaking technology for some reason. And thus, if you get them into a nasty spot in a forest, it will be so hard to dislodge them because the enemy will just never see them. If you micro them correctly, of course, as well. And then you also have a full tank type of AMX 10s, which doesn't seem that great, but you can take the Blindées double vet, then you still have like 8 of them. Normal AMX 10s at vet 1, you get about 10, I think. So you have quite a good amount of them. They're very mobile. They are pretty much the ultimate glass cannon because they have insane accuracy for some reason. Don't have the best stabilizer, but stationary, they have an insane accuracy, good penetration, decent reload rate. Sure, they're not very survivable, but like they're survivable enough, let's put it like that. So that if you micro them, you can keep them alive. And your infantry is absolutely cracked with 3 veterancy. Pretty much all come in VAP, so you get 50 kills out the ass. You have the Special Forces Squad, which is fine. I don't exactly remember whether it's like great or whatever, but it's like serviceable. And it's a Special Forces Squad after all. The AA suffers a bit, and when the Mirage 2000 was ridiculously overpriced, it was quite painful actually, because you were so weak against air. But with the Mirage 2000 price buffs, it's now in a pretty good state actually. It has a good air tap as well, so you can actually air spam with it if you want to. You have fantastic artillery, and that's basically all you need. And like a good recon tab as well. I can't remember whether they get GSR or not. I don't think so. I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely have the Puma Orchidee with the exceptional optics, at least. And it's just such a fast and mobile division. It's a little map dependent. Like, if you play Vertigo against a heavy division, it can be a little bit painful. But even there, like, if you played against a heavy division, you can just play wide. And you can drive circles around your enemy. And they, of course, get the Gazelle Sotiques, which is just an incredibly strong AA unit. I hope I'm not making it up. I'm pretty sure they get the Gazelle Sotiques. So, yeah. Very strong. I'm trying to remember. I hope they do Gazelle Sotiques. If they don't, it's still a strong division anyway. Now we come to Rhin. Now, Rhin is like either high D tier or super low C tier. I think I will put it in... No, I think it's still D tier, probably. It's just... It doesn't even have a good forward deploy. You get the Jäger Aufklärer in the Aufklärer Fuchs. Both of those are 5 points overpriced, so together you overpay 10 points for a very mediocre forward deployed squad. So that sucks. You can at least upvet your M48s, which you of course can't do in the German Reservist Division because the reasons. Even though it's literally the same unit. The infantry tab is like... it's again... The activation points are just so expensive for some reason that you can't really even spam infantry that well. You can spam tanks a little bit. Your air tab is, again, kind of mediocre. It's very unique, I'll give him that. It's just not that great. Get Eyehawks, that's cool. But the M270 cluster, also at this point, is just very overpriced and underwhelming. So that doesn't really help the division as well, dealing with heavy tanks that much, in my opinion. So yeah, it's like... It's sad because the division is very unique and I think it's a cool idea. It's just... In practice, it's very painful. And they do get a shit ton of those AMX 13s with the ATGMs, which can be annoying. But they're like, most of the time, not good enough to carry you. And that's the problem. Because you also don't have anything else to carry you either. And yeah. And I feel it's like especially restricted with the activation points for some reason. I don't know why though, I haven't checked recently. 17 yeah is like, I think this is a low C tier division. Because like, it has some win condition at least. Has recently been buffed a bit as well. Like, you can spam tanks. They just really aren't great because the T10M is reservist and locked in 0 vet. And like, the problem is it has pretty good damage output against infantry if it's not stunned. And like actually pretty high armor for such an old tank. But the problem, of course, is because it's 0 vet and reservist, it's basically you get farted at once and it goes down to 0 cohesion, and then it also has no DPS anymore. So a bit of a hard call to make. They did get an additional infantry slot, at least, in the recent patch. So that's cool. But I don't know whether this changes too much about the division. It has a decent air tab, I think, as well. But if your infantry tab and your tank tab, and also kind of your recon tab, all are meh, I think that's just not enough. Like, one of those 3 tabs needs to be good for a division to work. Or they all need to be good enough. But for 17, yeah, they're kind of all not that great. And then your fundamentals are just missing. And you can't build a house, you know, on sand. You need a solid foundation. And 17, yeah, is missing that, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, the KGB squads are good, for example. And the KGB squads are good, the reservists are decent, you also get Motostrelki, but then not having any infantry ATGM and the infantry slots being so limited kind of makes it impossible to make anything out of that. But to be fair, also a unique division, so got to give it to Eugen. They have released a lot of unique divisions recently. 31, yeah, so this is, in my opinion, probably somewhere around here. Well, put it here. It's a very good division. It's just rather slow, which makes it quite vulnerable in several matchups, as I had to find out myself in my FOB match against Légère, where I just didn't get on the map. Like, I just lost the game in basically the first 2 minutes because he played Corpus on Eiche and I played 31 Ja, and because FOB's blind picks, of course, I was just kind of unlucky with the matchup. And yeah, he just got the whole map before I even like left my spawn. And it's like, well, what am I gonna do here, man? Like, what the fuck? I can't even get anywhere, and that's very painful. But if it's not like a especially bad division matchup on a especially bad map, it's actually very, very strong still. You have Strelci, which are a very good infantry squad. You have BMP2s. You have cheap T55s. It's not the cheapest ones, but they also have max range on their gun, so you know they pay for something that is actually worth it. You have cheap T72s. You have good T72s. You have good air defense. Air tab is kind of meh, but it's like it doesn't matter that much because you have coups and like the air defense slots are quite cheap. And like the planes you get are quite alright. I mean, the shotgun plane is good enough against helicopters. It's really bad against planes though, unless you get very lucky. But because you have the good air defense on the ground, it's kind of okay. You can live with that. And of course, again, you have AGLs, you have napalm infantry. You just have it's like the opposite of 17, yeah, kind of. Like this division has all the fundamentals. This division lacks all the fundamentals. So this division just wins against, or like is just better than this division in basically every way. And then you also have the Prima, which right now is pretty strong. But I have to say, I haven't been able to use it that well in like for like ever, I think. I feel like you need it's only very good in team games or in very specific use cases in 1v1. But it is still a strong tool to have in your arsenal, of course. And yeah, the only thing it's missing is a faster recon deploy, I feel like. But you're not even missing exceptional optics because, of course, you have the BR1 as everybody. So, yeah. More than okay. Then we have first Tankova. This is a bit... I think it's high B tier. Because it's like... It feels like it's even slower than 31, yeah, because you don't even have the T55s. But you get so many high-tech T72s that in the late game, this division is still very scary. And on the other hand, you also still have cheaper T72s, which you can spam, and BMP2s. And your recon is actually still okay. I think they also get Special Forces Recon, like the smaller squads. So you have at least like some quote-unquote forward deploy. It's just not that great because I don't think you can follow it up with too much quickly enough, but it's still there as an option. It actually has an okay air tab. Especially with the high altitude bombers being buffed. I think that helped the division quite a lot. We have the Dana and the napalm artillery, I forgot how it's called, which helps you out a lot in CQC fights, for example. It's just that it's very slow. Like, once you have all those tools up, you are kind of unstoppable, but you need to get to that point. And that's where this division can struggle a bit. So I think I'll keep it in beat here, yeah. 19th, yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, 19th is basically like second check, but just better, I feel like. And I think 19th is somewhere around here. Probably. I think it's around here. It is a bit limited with activation points, but you get heavy artillery or the Dana, so whatever you prefer, you can pick it. I prefer the heavy artillery because, in my opinion, 2 or 3 mils are just always better, just period. You get special forces, 2 cards of them actually, and they're pretty good special forces. Only come in helicopters, that's a bit painful, but it's still a very good squad. You are limited also with your Conquerors and your Iglas coming in helicopters, but as long as you know that, I think it's actually kind of okay. The Conquerors still should be 6 per card in my opinion, because it doesn't matter that it's double vet like that much. And it being in a helicopter is more of a downside than it being double vet being an upside. The Igla coming at 3 vet in a helicopter is kind of fine in my opinion. I don't think that's too horrible. I also take the double vet SPG, or the recoilless gun, not the SPG, sorry, because I think it just fits the style of the division. I think it's probably not the most effective way to build a division, but I just think it's cool. And with all those helicopters, and you also getting the Special Forces recon squads that also can have a helicopter, you can actually have a pretty nasty helicopter opener. You just need to take the MiG-29 fighter card and the MiG-21 fighter card. And I think that's the big mistake I see people do. They don't take the MiG-21 fighter card, and then they just lose to like a single Apache because they have nothing to counter that with. And as long as you do that, the division is kind of fine. And then you also have like 3 cards of T-72s, plus 1 card of T-72 leader, plus several cards of T-55s. It has so many tags if you want to take them. It's a little absurd, actually. I mean, it's fine because the division outside of it isn't exceptionally strong, but that just comes on top of everything else, and in my opinion, makes the division overall quite good. Then we have 303. Now, this is a bit of a meme division, but I do think it's like kind of okay. Question is, do I think it's better than second? I don't think so. I do definitely think it's better than 17, yeah. Because you have an air tab full of MiG-21s that are actually very deadly. You just have to use them together. You should not make the mistake of calling them in one by one. Because then you will just lose one of them every time. But if you call in like 2 or 3 of them together, that's actually quite nasty. And as long as you only buy like 1 expensive one and then, for example, 2 cheap ones, it will work out quite alright. You obviously have ungodly amount of tank spam, and the SD-100 on a close range map is like unironically a pretty good tank because it has decent pen. Then you also have 1 card for T-72s at least, T-54s, the big RCL infantry squad. So it's like, I mean, this is actually an alright meme division, and even outside of being a meme division, it's at least usable on certain maps. AA is obviously a little bit of an issue. You get at least 1 card of Krooks, I guess. Like, You can't imagine what I would do to get something like 1 card of Krugs in first Luftlande. Like, that's better than nothing. And you actually get a decent allotment of towed guns as well. Oh, well. Helicopters are, in my opinion, though, pure dog shit in this division. Like, the Mi-4 is depressingly bad. I'm pretty sure I don't even take a single card of them. Because I just don't feel a reason to waste a slot on them. Okay, so let's go to the next divisions. I think, by the way, all the other divisions are almost sorted by nation. Okay, that will be interesting. So we have 4E. In my opinion, straight up, still an S-tier division. Exceptionally strong. Leopard 2s are very good tanks still. Only 1 card of Leopard 2 for Cs, but a lot of Leopard 2 for Bs, of course. 1 card of Leopard 1s as well for the early game. The CNV, strong recon vehicle, even after the nerfs. Get an Eyehawk and the Cheetah, which is just a Gepard, but better. Only shotgun fighters, but with an Eyehawk, like 1 or 2 Cheetahs and a Stinger. And I mean, I think I also take the Bofors just because, like, it's fun. Your air defense is unironically pretty good at this point. Infantry is alright. You get YPRs. Or is it? No, it's the YPRs for the Dutch. It's the AIFVs for the Belgians, I think. Whatever, the 25mm IFVs without ATGMs, which are very strong. You just have to remember that they don't have the ATGM and use them differently. But if you remember that, they are an exceptionally strong asset to have. Tow choose in the vehicle tab and in the infantry tab. Forward deployed recon, which has been nerfed finally to 4 per card because there was no reason for it to be 6 per card for some reason. Don't have any helicopters, but I'm just not a big helicopter player, so like I don't even notice not having the helicopters. And they get good CAS as well. So it's like it just kind of has everything that you need. Once again, it's just the all-you-can-eat WARNO buffet. So yeah, just fantastic division. It does lack good CQC infantry. That's kind of the only weakness it has, the only real weakness, because as I said, it also lacks attack helicopters, but it's really not that much of a problem. So yeah, that's like the one downside it has. It also has A110s, which in my opinion it still needs to lose. There's no reason for it to have it, but it has them. So yeah, just fantastic division. CLKA is like 4E, but you can actually play it without feeling like a meta slave. And I think CLKA is probably also somewhere in A tier. Now this is like now a little bit tough to rank it. Is it better than 19th Czech or not? Good question. I think it's somewhere around this area. Because you get the commandos. I think they're just called commandos, like the Special Forces Infantry, which is nasty. You get a bunch of decent infantry with a bunch of 50 kill transports. So a lot of fire support coming together with your infantry. Still have Eyehawks, no Cheetahs. That's a little bit unfortunate. But you at least get 1 card of F4 Phantom 2s. So 1 card of long range fighters as well to support you. I think their bombers are also still okay. I actually can't remember right now which specific bombers they even have. Well, whatever. I at least remember that they're not horrible. Also get M110s, which is why I think they should be removed from 4E, because we have them in CLKA already, so it's fine. And you have an actually pretty good tank tab. But I think there's also Centurions, Leopard 1V, and then 2 cards of Leopard 2A4B. That's absolutely okay. It's a division that where you have to use your tools well, but if you do, it's a very strong division. And you also have like a decent recon tab, for example, as well. So, yeah, just it's kind of like a decent all-rounder. Now we come to the Belgians with 16 DE. I recently played this division again, and actually it was quite fun after the last times I played them, where I could just never make them work, which was funny. I said it in one of my streams because back in the day when it first came out, I was quite good with it. Then it got buffed, and I couldn't make it work anymore for some reason. And then recently, yeah, as I said, I tried it out and it worked out fairly well. I think this is also somewhere around the low 8 here. I think that's somewhere around here. You have a bunch of Leopard 1s that you can spam around. Decent infantry. It's like they have triple machine gun, but they are kind of bad at CQC. So you have to use them correctly, but then they're actually very strong. They come in the AIFVs. So again, IFVs without an ATGM, but a strong autocannon. And you can take them double vet because you get quite a lot of them, or quite a lot of infantry in general. No very good CQC infantry, but it's like kind of okay because you just have so many YPRs, and you can also take machine guns, and then have all your leopards. You just have to pay attention that you don't engage somewhere where your fire support can't help with the engagement. No M110s, that's obviously always a problem. And especially because you're stuck with only M109s, which I just hate from the bottom of my heart. With how artillery is right now, I just think that SPGs are just a giant scam. You pay more for the same performance like a towed howitzer. I also said it a million times. I just despise it. And with the AA being Mistrals and Gepards, only having shotgun fighters is like, you can work with it. And also because you have Leopard 1s only, as long as you spread them out enough, there's not that many like good bombing targets for your enemy. And if you have like 2 Gepards and 1 or 2 Mistrals backing them up, if they go for a bombing run, they will most likely lose their bomber and then kill what, 1 Leopard 1? Like, yeah, boo-hoo. That's just not worth it for them. The recon tab is actually pretty good. And they also get decent bombers on top of that. So, you know, kind of has everything you need. Very mobile. You should never get stuck in like a face-to-face fight, because then you will just lose most of the time. And also, this division is kind of just dead in the water against 6E, I feel like. Because the Leopards kind of get hard countered by the AMX-10s. Because the AMX-10s they have basically the same role. Sure, the AMX-10s have less armor, but it's not that much less that it matters really. Well, the AMX-10s can just always easily disengage from your Leopards, while your Leopards can't disengage from the AMX-10s, because the AMX-10s are so much faster. And then also 6E has just insanely better infantry, better and cheaper artillery, better fighters, better air tab. So, yeah, tip for you if you ever played in a tournament and somebody picks 16 DE. In my opinion, at least, 6E, fantastic counter pick. Ask me how I know. But hey, we're here to learn from our mistakes, aren't we? And now we come to the man, the myth, the legend, DivMob. Now, I haven't seen it too much since the nerfs. Before the nerfs, I would probably still have put it into the bullshit tier. Now I will just have it in the S tier. I just put it between like 4E and 6E, just to be sure. Because it was nerfed a bit with the Provincieux becoming more expensive. But I just don't think it really fixed the issue, because the issue was always that I can spam Provincieux and light tanks out the ass, covered by like fantastic bombers. Friendly reminder that the Alpha jets of the French and the Belgians have a better payload than the German ones, but are somehow also cheaper. The reasons, because I don't know, hashtag West Germany suffers. So yeah, 203mm towed artillery, which is, because as I said, I love towed howitzers, so the towed 203 mils are probably the most overpowered artillery in the whole game, in my opinion. Like, if you have some sort of micromanagement, if you aren't a literal grandpa, you can do it. Like, microing artillery isn't that hard. And paying 100 points less, and especially in the case of 203 mils, also not having to use 2 activation slots for 2 howitzers but only 1, is so insanely efficient. So, yeah, I think it's still pretty broken, in my opinion. So, now we have the Brits. Oh god. Okay. First armored. I mean, with how high altitude bombers are performing right now, it probably is actually low S tier. It does suffer a bit in the opener because it does have airborne forward deployed, but actually no, it doesn't. Hold on, it does have airborne forward deployed with the SAS and the Paras, the Terrier Paras. So actually, you can have an airborne opener followed up by recon autocannons, followed up by warrior IFVs, which have a Milan 2, which is a very good anti-tank tool. They're also decently well armored, the warriors. Not as good as the Mother 1A3, of course, but still decently well armored. The warrior repliques, that is. Your infantry all has double LMG, so instantly makes it very good. Well, except for the Terrier Paras, to be fair. You have the Gazelle rockets, which are hilariously cost-efficient anti-infantry helicopters. You also have good ATGM light helicopters. And as I said, your air tab, while being expensive, with how high altitude bombers are performing right now, the heavy high altitude bombers, it's probably one of the strongest air tabs in the game, because you get 2 cards of high altitude Tornado HE bombers, 1 card of high altitude Tornado cluster bombers with, like, it's not the 500 kilogram cluster bombs of the Su-24 cluster 2, which are just busted, but it's still heavier cluster bombs than, like, for example, the German Tornado gets. And you get the Tornado Seat. And then you also have the Tornado Fighter, 2 cards of them. So, like, the only thing you're missing is anti-helicopter defense. But what I found out is that you can just take the Jaeger rocket and the air tab, because you get 3 of them per card. They have a good gun and good aim 9s. So you can actually use them to dive Apaches, for example. And with the ground AA being tracked rapiers and javelins, I take the javelin LML personally. Like, that's fine. It's not great, but it's good enough. It's also unseatable. So the only weakness being the AA is not even that much of a weakness. And the challengers, like, I know people will be pissing and shitting themselves. I just don't think they're bad. Like, I'm sorry. You get 18 frontal armor. Yeah, sure, you have lower rate of fire, but you have still a decent gun, fantastic armor, a good availability curve. The Challenger Mark III is also quite good. You have the Chieftains for cheaper tanks if you want them for the opener. You get a forward deployed Milan 2 and a Rover Milan. You also get a good ATGM launcher with the, what is it called? It's not the Swing Fire. It's called differently. Well, the good ATGM launcher, you know what I mean. The vehicle ATGM launcher. Sure, lower accuracy, but high range and high damage, so it's absolutely worth it, because even if it misses, it does a shit ton of stun damage. Artillery is a bit meh, but it's good enough. It does the job. Like, it's just a very good division. Yeah. And you get GSR recon in the infantry tab as well. Recon tab, sorry, with the SAS patrol. Doesn't have any AT launchers, but as I said, because you have the Terrier Paras, you can help out with the forward deployed AT with them. So, yeah, I think it's a very good division. Now, second UK is a bit hard to judge. I kind of always want to play it and then I forget about it. Because I still think it's a very good division. But It's probably, I would say it's probably somewhere in A tier. Because I understand that it does struggle a bit in specific matchups, but you still get like 5 Challenger Mark II set Vet 1 with the Command Challenger and the Normal Challenger. 2 cards of Warriors, only normal Warriors, but it's still Warriors. You can get a shit ton of rocket helicopters, with a lot of them being 6 HP, so they can survive man-pad shots. You get the SAS, which are forward deployed and have a special forces max vet stingers, which is insane. Your AA, again, you don't have long range AA, but it's good enough. You have fighters, which aren't that great, but are also quite cheap. Your bombers are good. Your recon is also fine. No exceptional recon, but actually pretty good fighting recon. So I think it's overall a very strong division. Probably put it below CLKA. Somewhere here. Yeah, like this, like the A tier is just very stacked, so don't take this as gospel. It's very approximate, ranking in the tiers themselves. 4th Armored, honestly, underrated division. But struggles from being very slow. So I think it's also somewhere low B tier, high A tier. Let's put it in low B tier, you know, just to be a little bit cocky. The reasoning being, yes, it's slow, but the chieftains have been price buffed quite a bit. You do get the Darkfire, which is an exceptional AA piece, actually. It's very, very good. You also get very heavy bombers. Dive bombers, though, so right now, not the greatest, but still good enough. Or good and not good enough, they're very good, actually. Of course, missing seat, and I think that's the bigger problem, actually. No seat, and I'm pretty sure also no electronic warfare plane, at least. Which could help out a little bit. And that would be better than nothing. Infantry and recon tab are like fine. They're not great, but they're serviceable. And decent artillery tab as well. It's like, as I said, I think the biggest downside of this division is just that it's very slow. But if you can get the ball rolling, the chieftain ball, it's still very strong. And because you can also take the Mark 6.2s or the Mark 9s, which are fairly cheap, you can get it rolling quite quickly after the opener. You just have to survive the opener. That's basically your job. Survive the opener in like the first, 10 minutes, and don't lose all your tanks all the time, or your assets overall. And you have a decent win condition at least. So yeah, it's probably still worse than like 1 year, and it's definitely worse than first check. But yeah, that's how I would rank it right now. Berlin Command. Like, I think that's unironically one of the only divisions I've actually never played to this day. Maybe I should try it actually, because I wanted to say it doesn't fit my playstyle, but then I thought about that I play everything anyway, and why not try it out? Because I also sometimes think, I paid for the divisions, so I might as well play them, right? So yeah, hard to judge, honestly. This will be, because I also never see anybody else play it. I think it's kind of high C tier, probably. The M1 IP got buffed, which helped it definitely. But overall, it just has too pronounced of a weakness with the AA and fighters being quite bad, because it doesn't even get the tracked rapier. It gets the rapier FSB or whatever it's called, like the rapier that is stationary, and a bunch of manpads. Good manpads, to be fair, but only manpads. It's just, yeah, you can get lucky and double tap a Strike Eagle, which happened to me, like, this has been like in League Season 0.5, so during beta, where I played against Der Gärtner, who played Berlin Command on Vertigo, back in the day, old Vertigo. And I played 35th US, and I called in a strike eagle and was just instantly double tapped by his manpads. And it's like, well, okay, GG, I guess. But if this doesn't happen, then it's GG for Berlin Command. And with the Nighthawk as well, if like players that are good will basically just have their fighters loitering around all the time, and will be like zoomed into the map completely and listening out for the Nighthawk, and then the Nighthawk dies very quickly, and then it's kind of game over. Infantry tab and recon tab they're decent, but because you can't really protect them from air that well, it's just not good. Maybe. But this is one where I can very realistically be wrong. But the fact that, literally nobody plays it like ever kind of points to the fact that it really isn't that great. Or at least very specific. That can also be the case. Now, MNAD, honestly, S tier. I think I'll rank it above First Armored, but below 6E. It has shit tons of autocannons, shit tons of ATGMs, forward deploy, actually good forward deploy as well, because you get the British Paras, which are better than German Fallschirmjäger in every way, but also cheaper, because Le Mans. You get a pretty good air tap, only shotgun fighters to protect you, but you get a Darkfire. So you have actually good ground AA to protect your units and your planes. Who could have guessed that this is actually a good combo? Strike planes are, like, decent. They're not the greatest, but they're good enough. They do their job most of the time. Your infantry overall is great because you also have Gurkhas, what are they called? The Mariniers or whatever? The Dutch Marines. I assume at least they are Marines, which are a very good anti-infantry squad, and like you just have so much stuff that is just good and fast. So yeah, very good division. And with the ATGM spam, even on open maps, you can just make it hell for your enemy to get back into anywhere. The cluster mortars are also kind of goated in my opinion. You need to use them with corrected shot, but because they have the Copperhead trait or whatever it's called, like the laser guided artillery thing, they are so hilariously precise when you use them within corrected shot range that you could just nuke even heavy tanks with like 2 of them. And they're not that expensive. You just have to make sure to move them. But if you do, like you can literally kill heavy tanks. And outside of corrected shot range, you can at least suppress them, even though I wouldn't advise to use them like that because you're kind of wasting a barrage that you could have done within corrected shot range. But yeah, very, very good division. Now, the controversial division, 3rd Armored. Like, I don't know. I just think it's not good. I think it's like high C tier probably. Like, I understand the whole argument of, oh, look, there's like 2 top players that can use it well. Okay. But, like, it's not even like the top 1% of the game can play them well. It's the top 0.1% of the best players can make it work. Sometimes. Because if you look at, well, I mean, spoilers, but at Bendover, who's like one of the guys who's very, very good with 3rd Armored, he lost against Pro Commi with 3rd Armored in League. Like, I don't know. Like back in the day when 4E was overpowered and Skivik was running everyone over with 4E, he was running everyone over with 4E. You just could not stop him because the division was insanely overpowered. 3rd Armored isn't. Yes, you can put like 500 hours into only playing 3rd Armored and then you will be good with it. But that doesn't make the division overpowered because you can make that with literally every division. Hell, Mix 90 won a fucking league playing Rhin 152E and what was he playing? Some other dogshit divisions. Like, you can do it, but that doesn't make the divisions overpowered. That just shows how high of a caliber some players are. And Bendover is, like, performing exceptionally well in League as well right now. So, you know, he's a very strong player. And 3rd Armored still is just very slow, very vulnerable to, like, airplay, for example. Sure, you have the Eagles, but you're kind of like 2 or 3 bad RNG rolls away from losing the game. Because air is RNG heaven. It's air casino, called for a reason. So the CEVs are very strong, that's absolutely true. But I just still feel like it requires a very high amount of commitment to get to a level where divisions in S tier, for example, are almost self-explanatory. So yeah, I just don't think it's that great. I'm sorry. And also, I would say, you know, when 56 YA was overpowered, you would go on ranked, and every single one of your games would be against 56 YA. I haven't seen 3rd Armored in like forever. Nobody's playing it because it just isn't good. Now we have 6th US. I think this is. I will put it in the high B tier because I think it's a good division. It's not quite A tier though, because it kind of relies on the map, I feel like, and also on air, which, as I said, can be quite tricky. It does have Eyehawks though, so you're not exclusively relying on air for air defense, but you're kind of relying on air to actually kill tanks. So that's a bit of a problem. But overall, you have the Navy SEALs, which is actually a great squad. Your infantry in general, you have so many good choices. The problem with the division is more like, how do you fit in all the great choices into your division? The recon tab is absolutely cracked. You have the recon A10, which I think is still a very good plane. You just have to use it correctly, and like either you do a toxic A10 cheese opener, or later in the game you need to use it together in conjunction with other planes as well, and not on its own. And well, with the Navy SEALs and the Airborne, you also have a good forward deployed component that you can actually defend well with forward deployed Stingers that also have veterancy. So that's good. You have towed 155s. I'm a big fan, as I said. So yeah, I think it's a decent division. Maybe could even be low A tier, but I'm not sure, because the complete lack of tanks, except for the recon tanks that don't have smoke, is a bit of a problem. 8th US. It's like this standard division, I feel like. It kind of has just no weakness. It's not like exceptionally good at anything as well. The question is, I don't think it's S tier. I think it's somewhere around here. Yeah. It's also just a very good tournament division, because it rarely gets banned, but it also like doesn't have that many direct counters. It also doesn't counter anything specifically, but it's just a very solid standard choice. You can't really go wrong with it. It has M110s, it has decent fighters, it has very good AA actually, with like Eyehawks, Chaparrals, Pivots, and Stingers. It's honestly kind of insane how good this AA is. Only Cobras, so like only light helicopters, but decent ones. Infantry tab, you have, it's kind of limited in space, but you have, again, a lot of very good choices. Rangers as well, which are decent. They just need to be babysit a bit, but they're kind of okay if you do. Tank tab is very good, actually. I would say, honestly, one of the best tank tabs in the whole game, because you have M1A1s, you have cheaper M1s, you have even cheaper M60s, and you have the CEV, and if you want to, you can also take the M901. It's like kind of, it has literally everything you would ever need, more or less. A better ATGM launcher maybe would be good, like a vehicle ATGM launcher, because the M901 is a little weird to use, but it's still fine, and it has a like super hard hitting tow too. The recon type is also a little mad because it's this typical problem of US recon not having AT launchers. But it's fine because you actually have the LRS, which is forward deployed, like airborne forward deployed, has GSR and a law. And you get Bradley recon, you get the what is it, the M150 as well. It's just, yeah, like, has everything you would ever need. Just a good choice. 9th US Infantry. Now, this is an interesting one. And I think this is also, again, A tier, but a bit lower right now. It's, I think, kind of comparable to Guzmán el Bueno. Probably a bit worse, but it's hard to say. I also haven't played it in quite some time. Or have I? I can't remember, actually. Because I can't remember whether I played 9th US or whether I played against it. Whatever. It has fast forward deploy with the 50 cal sniper. It has the CAC-V, of course. A bunch of M60s. Actually decent bombers for an US air tab, but the slots you get are very limited in the air tab. So all the good choices you have, you can't take them all because you don't have enough slots. Their AA is a little lackluster, so that can be a problem. But you get VATS, and kind of the VATS is unbelievably broken right now. Like the pivots, at least on the vehicle, can be sniped by like an AT launcher or an ATGM, but the VATS, like the towed one, it just deletes your infantry, and you just die. There's no counterplay. You're just dead, and that sucks. You also get great launchers out the ass, good infantry with like either triple machine guns, light machine guns, or double LMG and a DMR. So fantastic loadouts. You also have a bunch of AT4s, I'm pretty sure, but I don't think it has that many of them. It might be mostly laws, but I'm not entirely sure. You also get a bunch of Dragon 2s though, so that's always great. And yeah, it's kind of a faster division. You're supposed to play it as a, I don't know, early game, hard hitting division, and then hunker down with TOW 2s, CAC-V, and Dragon 2s out the ass, which kind of makes it a little more map dependent again, but it's definitely a strong division in my opinion. 11th ACAV. Damn. I think this is also still an A tier division. Now, where do I rank it though? Because this is also one of the divisions that I haven't seen in a long time and I also haven't played in a long time. But I still would say it is actually very strong, but I think I will rank it somewhere around here. Because it does have a weakness at least, with not having that many infantry slots. But because you get so many high HP infantry squads in the division, it's not that much of a weakness actually. Because chewing through all of those engineers and arrow rifles or mech rifle dragons, whatever you take, you have so many choices of high HP infantry. You don't really feel like they are lacking infantry. They also have LRS, so airborne forward deployed with the law and GSR. 2 cards of recon Bradleys, and one of them being the good one with the better armor and the TOW 2A. Recon M1A1s, normal M1A1s, CEVs. You have no light tanks, or even cheaper M1s, so that's a little bit of an issue. And the AA tab is quite limited. But you do get 2 cards of F-16s, with one being long range and the other one being a shotgun fighter, but actually being a good shotgun fighter because it has very good missiles and good ECM at least. And like a decent air tab. So I think it still has its place, but not having any light tanks or even medium tanks kind of does make it vulnerable to an early collapse. So you have to know how to play it. But ironically, I would still say it's easier to play than Third Armored. Like quite a bit easier actually. Because you at least have the good recon and good forward deployed. And good attackers, attack planes, so on and so forth. Third armor does have Apaches though. That is a very big advantage. That's definitely true, but the CNET is also a decent helicopter. So yeah, I think 11 AKF is still very strong. 24th US, like they have been buffed so many times, but you still almost never see it around. I did want to try it, but then the Strike Eagle was bugged after the patch. And then I kind of forgot about it. So maybe I should try it out next time I'm playing. It's very hard to judge. It's probably somewhere around B tier here. Like something like this. Because it has so many Bradleys. But 0 vet Bradleys and reservist together makes their autocannon quite bad, which I understand. But on the other hand, they still have their ATGM, which they can sling at the enemy. It's only an ITO for the National Guard Bradley. Look, an ITO is still an ITO. Still hurts. And you do get a bunch of good Bradleys as well. And with the new M1 IP vet curve, you get quite a lot of them. Strike Eagle has been fixed, so you can also use it again. It's just a bit... Because on one hand, it kind of seems that it's a little bit like first Luftlande, where it doesn't synergize too well. But I don't even know really why. Because on paper, it should synergize decently well. We have a large military police squad. You have IFVs out the ass. You also have a bunch of high HP infantry squads if you need them, or if you want them. Well, you do need and want them. Anyway, you do get quite a lot of tanks now, as I said. The recon tab is like okay. The air tab is okay. And I think it mostly comes down to the fact that just the Strike Eagle seems to be very unreliable. It just gets 2-tapped so easily, and then your seed is the Wild Weasels, which are complete ass because Eugene, for some reason, thinks that America was still spamming Shrikes in 1989 on their Wild Weasels. God knows why. I have no idea where this information comes from. It's just insane and makes no sense at all and is depressing, but yeah, I think that's kind of their big problem. But I do think they should be decent right now, so if I would have played them, I probably would have put them in A tier, but maybe I would have found out that the division is ass and I would have put it in C tier. So, you know, let's put it in between, into B tier. 35th US has been getting quite a few buffs in several patches in recent history, so that makes me happy. I think right now it's actually like a decent B tier division. Like, it's still not great, but it also doesn't need to be. It's a National Guard division, right? It's supposed to be bad. Or, like, hard to play, let's put it like that. But with all the buffs that it has gotten, you can have a decent amount of RCL infantry that you can spam out. And M60s as well. You also get a CEV. I don't know how good it is, actually. Maybe it does suffer from the reservist trait, but I don't think it should suffer too much from it, actually. You do have decent AA. It's just that your AA tab is a little confined, but mostly it's the air tab that is very expensive and sad. You do get also reservist M110s, which I think aren't that bad as people make them out to be. I think they're more than good enough. The recon tab is a little bad, but not too bad actually. I think it's fine overall. But yeah, it kind of still is missing like a real strength. Like, it can't really spam anything too well. But I think at this point it can spam M60s and RCL infantry well enough. And you do get a good F111 LGB mower, but once again, only get the Shrikes to and the Wild Weasel to escort it. So, well, go figure. '82nd Airborne. I think this division is still suffering a bit. I think this is like probably low B tier right now. It has been getting buffed as well recently. I just think it still struggles from the fact that its infantry is like a little too expensive. The Sheridans have gotten better. they do true damage against units in houses, where even though the gun doesn't say it, it does do it. It's another huge moment where the UI just lies to you constantly. So their Sheridans have actually very good HE damage output if you get them into 50 kill range. And you have TOW2s to smack heavy tanks. I just feel like they're missing a good HE bomber because the F-16 HE is just abysmal for no reason at all. And I don't understand why. It costs, like, I don't know, twice as much as a MiG-21 HE, has less availability, but doesn't hit anything. Why? Which is why I built my deck with the F-16 LGB now. Because the F-16 LGB doesn't kill tanks, but it still kills infantry. So to kind of use it as an expensive HE bomber, but at least it's better than nothing. I haven't played it yet because I don't really want to right now. And they also have Apaches, but not that many of them. The AH-1 ATAS has been buffed, so you get ATAS and OH-58s, which is a very nasty combo to be fair, but it doesn't help you push on the ground anywhere. That's kind of where the division is struggling, I think. So, yeah, it's like, LAVs are kind of nice right now, but yeah. Also, the Recon Sheridan really needs some help. It can be cool as a meme. Like somebody used 82nd against me and won against me because I just didn't know that the Sheridans do like just nuke infantry in buildings. But like once you know that, you will prepare for it, and then the Sheridan just dies to like a wet fart. WARNO first, on the other hand, I think that is like S tier, almost bullshit tier. It's just extremely strong. You have the deltas, which give you the fastest forward deployed in the game. If you don't know, if you make them triple vet, they go even faster, because speed for special forces vehicles scales with veterancy. So Vet 1 is plus 10% speed, Vet 2 plus 20%, Vet 3 plus 30%. So you have the fastest forward deployed in the game, with a forward deployed squad that is actually quite decent. Like the Deltas have a decent anti-infantry loadout and the Carl Gustav, so they can protect against anything in the opener at least. Or, well, anything against it except helicopters or bombers, of course. But that's why you have the OH-58s. You also have an Apache ATAS, which you can't really dive, because if it also has the OH-58s behind them, because it can itself shoot at the plane, and the OH-58s can also shoot it at the plane. You also have Stingers and VADs that have free veterancy. So VADs with free veterancy, like, again, it's like one of the tools that instantly makes your division like one tier better than all its competitors. You have free vet towed 155mm. You have the M1IPs that have been buffed, so you have like 8 tanks. Like 8 heavy tanks in an airborne division is insane. You get good infantry, a lot of them, high HP infantry as well. Then you also get the Green Beret ODAs, which are one of the strongest squads in the whole game. You get 4 of them with a very good helicopter that you can also use as fire support or sell if you want to get the points back. Well, just in general, you have a lot of Apaches. DAPs, you can also take the little birds if you want to saturate the airspace to kind of protect your helicopters by just having a bunch of chaff, like using the little birds as chaff. Yeah, it's just a fantastic division. You have the F-15 to keep the sky clean. You can take 2 cards of F-15, 1 card of F-4, and then it's like, yeah, good luck trying to get through. And honestly, that might be a hot take, but the reason why I think it can keep the air clean, even though, you know, it has kind of the same AA as 3rd Armored, is first of all because it has the OH-58s, which instantly makes it like 5 tiers better. And second of all, because I think that the Sparrow Eagle is honestly kind of better than the AMRAAM Eagle, because the AMRAAM has higher accuracy but lower range. But a hit doesn't always happen because it's RNG, right? You can hit sometimes, you can sometimes not hit. But suppression always happens. And a missile that has longer range gets to fire first, and so you get to suppress your enemy first. So I think the Sparrow Eagle is low-key kind of better than the MRAM Eagle, honestly. Because yeah, it has higher accuracy, but it can still just miss. Because fuck you. And then what you gonna do? Well, nothing. You just lose your plane and it's GG. And so, yeah. And also, obviously, you don't have an, M1A1 HA. That's like a big bombing target that screams, please bomb me, please kill me. Well, you have the ODAs, to be fair. But yeah, with OH-58s and Apache ATAS, I think it's just easier to protect. So, yeah. When the Slammer was introduced, I would have said it was in bullshit here because the Slammer was just a delete everything in this area button. But they did increase the supply cost a lot on it, and I think that was very important. So I think it's just like right below the bullshit tier. But yeah, still incredibly strong division. Now, our friends from France. Oh god, 5E. So I think 5E still is S tier, but I think it's now like low S tier. I think it's better than first armored just because it has the invisible AMX-10s and they are an absolute plight to deal with. I despise them so much. It's so ass to play against them. They have the Brennest. They have a bunch of AMX-30B2s. They have decent infantry with DMRs and machine guns. They also have Apilas, which is an absolute murder machine. What are they also called? Commandos, I think. Yeah, special forces at least. Which you can bring in helicopters. So you can do a helicopter opener. And it should go decently well with 5E. It's a light helicopter opener, but still, if it works, it works, you have decent AA with Roland 2s, Roland 3s, and Mistrals. And even the, what is it called? The AMX-13 DCA or something, like the French AA gun, mobile AA gun vehicle. The Mirage F1 is a little underwhelming, but it's not that much of a problem because you have Roland 2s and Roland 3s and Mistrals. So it's like really whatever. Your bombers are great. Your air type is just a bit expensive. So 5E is a bit restricted by activation points, which obviously was how it was nerfed back in the day when it was bullshit tier. But you can still make a good deck out of it. Also have autoloader artillery, so that's always great to have. I just think it's still very good, especially because those AMX-10s are just so painful to deal with, and they always, if you want to do a forward deploy aggressive opener, you always have to think about where are those AMX-10s gonna be and where are they going to snipe me. So you kind of already have to deploy more defensively, just by the fact of them existing in the deck. 11E, hard to say, because I think it's better than 82nd, but overall it's not that great. Well, it's like better or worse than 4th Armored. I think it's probably worse. Because the big problem is, it's kind of a similar problem to 1st Luftlande, where you don't have good enough fighters to get air control. And this is while, 11E has massively better air defense and fighters than 1st Luftlande, so, you can imagine how unbelievably painful it is to play 1st Luftlande. But because you only have one card of Mirage 2000 and the other cards are Mirage F1s, it's really hard to get air superiority. You at least get the Gazelle Celtiques and Mistrals, but again, they don't help you gain air superiority. They can prevent your units from getting bombed, which they can do very well, but not help in the air fight. Your bombers overall are good, but if you can't get air superiority, you can't really use them too well. Your infantry is good, but a bit overpriced. Your tanks are also kind of... they just feel like AMX-10s, but worse. So... it's still good to have them. I would probably still rather have them than the Sheridan. But it's still hard to play around them. You did get the Eric's recently, which is a very, very strong tool to have, honestly. But yeah, overall, it's just a bit. It's just not enough to be a good division against infantry, I feel like, and also not enough to be actually a good division against tanks. Though it's probably actually better against tanks than against infantry. But then it dies to IAVs most likely. Yeah, it's just. Well, you have Milan 1 and Milan 2, so you can spam a lot of ATGMs, but yeah, I think it's just the biggest problem is the air. Your fighters are simply not good enough for getting air superiority. But also, this is a bit more of a guess because I haven't played it in a long time, and once again, also not played against it too much. Well, I played against it once with first Luftlande, and I almost won, which kind of makes me believe that this division is really not good. Then we have 152E. Now, I did recently play it against Koch in the FOB tournament, and as I also wrote in the discussions below the video, like 152E is actually a decent reservist division. The big problem is just that it is very predictable. If you know 152E, you kind of can tell what your enemy will do. And then, like, if your division has the tools to counter it, which most of the divisions have at least something to counter that, 152E is basically dead in the water. And that's not a good thing. So I probably would say it's like high C tier. Yes, I will put it above 3rd Armored. Because you can still do a fast opener with like the Commando de l'Air and the Marine Éclaireur in the helicopters, which are at the front line extremely quickly. And with the Crusaders as your air support, like not air support, but your combat air patrol. You just have to buy all 3 of them with the long-range missiles at the same time. It's very strong, and the Alpha Jet AG and so on and so forth. But if your enemy knows that, you can do what I did to Koch. Like, I never even bought air, so he had like, I don't know, 5 fighters up that weren't doing anything. He was bombing me, but I never had like my infantry too much bunched up, so he never got good value out of his HE bombers. Though to be fair, he also used the more expensive ones, which I thought was weird. And yeah, well, then I just held the early game with grenade launchers and napalm infantry, which also just defeats all of his elite infantry. And then it's about grinding back, and then 152E really doesn't have a lot of tools to stop you from that. You artillery order ATGMs, and then it's GG. Not much they can do. Now we come to 2nd Panzergren, and honestly, even after the nerfs, I still think it's bullshit. I just think this division is just... Honestly, that's also the reason why West Germany can just never have nice things. It's just that this division, and kind of also 5th Panzer, but we will come to that shortly, they're just too strong. But especially 2nd Panzergren is... Like, you play against them, and it feels like a never-ending waves of Marder and Leopards and Panzergrenadiers are just walking at you, and, like, you just can't stop them. And that's a little sad. As I've always, or like, not always, but as I've said for a long time, just take away the goddamn Tornado fighter to give them a weakness. Make them have to use the Belgian F-16 shotgun fighter as their only fighter and rely on their ground AA, so that they actually have a goddamn weakness. Because that is just, it's just absurd. They have fantastic AA and fantastic fighters for anti-planes, against planes and against helicopters. They have fantastic bombers. They have, like, decent, like, their infantry isn't like exceptionally good, but it's good enough. And the Marder is also, like, the Marder itself is actually a pretty bad IFV, but it is a damage sponge, and you have Leopards to back them up as well. And at Vet 1, the Marder at least can do some damage against infantry as well, so you kind of have to kill them, but it's actually quite hard to kill a Marder from the front, a Marder 1A3 at least. At the same time, there's Leopard 2A3s coming at you, Leopard 1A5s. You can even spam 1A1s if you want to, though I think right now it's better to take the 1A5s, but that's a personal preference, I think. you still have the forward deployed with either the FS Aufklärer or the Fallschirmjäger themselves. The Fallschirmjäger are shit, but because 2nd Panzergrenadier is so overpowered, it doesn't matter, because their only job is just to be at the front line quickly and prevent the enemy from pushing in with heavy equipment with their Panzerfaust. They will lose to basically any infantry because their infantry loadout is shit, but it doesn't matter, because their Panzerfaust 3 will discern or keep away anybody from pushing in deep with like even light tanks or whatever. And yeah, it's just... And I also don't think it needs more AP nerfs, because I think that's just boring. Take away the capability completely. Take away the Tornado. I don't even understand why, like, I feel like half the NATO divisions have Tornado fighters. Why are there so many of them? What is going on? And 5th Panzer, I think this is like a very solid S tier division. Probably around here. Yeah, I think DivMob is probably still better, but as I said, DivMob hard to call right now for me. 5th Panzer is just a very, very solid division. And like if 2nd Panzergrenadier would be on the level of 5th Panzer, it would already be so much easier to deal with. Because 5th Panzer, you know, they have to rely on near shotgun fighter and good ground AA. But that's fine, because that is at least some trade-off. And even with this 5th Panzer, is still an insanely strong division. Like, so it's not like 2nd Panzergrenadier would break if you take away the Tornado fighter. It's perfectly playable still. 5th Panzer obviously only having the Marder 1A2, which is a bit worse because it has 1 less frontal armor, but still good enough. 2 cards of Leopard 2 A4Cs, which is very strong. 2 A3s as well, 1 A5s, 1 A1A1s, so all the assortment of Leopards. Decent recon tab with Fernspeer, so you get GSR recon. You also get the Fuchs Razid, which is very cool because it's an exceptional recon vehicle that also has smoke, which is also something NATO lacks a lot of the time, exceptional recon vehicles that have, you know, smoke and weapons, but, well, that's rare, as I said, anyway. And yeah, it's just great. Oh yeah, of course, also, yeah, 2nd Panzergrenadier has M110s. 5th Panzer had them back in the day, but lost them at some point. But they have told 155s, so that's also still more than good enough. And good bombers as well. So, yeah, just very good division. I love it from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, please don't nerf it. I want 5th Panzer to be great. TKS has gotten a lot better recently with the instructor trait on the Green Berets. It just needs to have its M48s vettable. I don't get it. Why are the M48s vettable in Rhin? Well, the same M48s are not vettable in TKS and also 2nd Panzergrenadier and 5th Panzer, but nobody notices there because who the fuck even uses them in those divisions? But TKS relies on them and it can't vet them. Why? That makes no sense at all. So, think probably somewhere around here. Yeah, I think something like this makes sense. It does at least have something going for it now, because with the instructor trait of the Green Berets and an infantry leader, you can get double vet Heimatschützen, which is actually quite scary, because they still have the dogshit German rifles and machine gun, but they're cheap, and they have a good AT launcher, and with double vet, they then start performing quite decently, and they also lose their reservist trait with the instructor. So you get an actually decently strong infantry squad. You have the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer B1 in the recon tab, which is a very strong infantry unit with the Satchel and the Panzerfaust 3. Good AA tab. Probably one of the best AA tabs in the game, actually. You're just missing a good manpads. But other than that, you kind of have everything you need. A decent air tab as well, with the F-104 HE bomber being very good right now. Missing a seat to really make use of the more expensive F-111 LGBs. So you kind of always have to use them very carefully. But yeah, You also have the Gina rockets, which are kind of useful as well. You rarely see them though, but they're very good for early game purchases to quickly get rid of like an ATGM or a pesky infantry squad. And because they're so cheap, it's not really that much of a problem, even if they die. Like if you trade them one for one an infantry squad, depending on what infantry squad it obviously is, it's kind of worth it actually. Even for an ATGM. Like if it's a TOW, it actually paid itself off. And now we get to the packed side. So, 4th Mod Schützen. Again, a division I haven't played in quite a while. But from what I hear about it and also what I see, I think it's still somewhere in A tier. Probably low A tier. So let's put it actually behind first Cav. It has pretty good forward deploy. A lot of options for the forward deploy as well. Actually a good forward deploy double vet SPG-9. A very good air tab, but the problem is, if you want to make maximum use of your air tab, you kind of have to sacrifice slots somewhere else, which is a bit of a problem. But once again, that's how a division is supposed to work. If you want to be great in one area, you have to make sacrifices in other areas, while not completely gutting them, you know, so you don't like have nothing on the ground, or no tanks at all or whatever. And yeah, it just doesn't have any like glaring weakness. It's a bit weak against heavy tanks, but that's what your air would be for, and your infantry. So you would need to use like smoke and stuff like that to lay ambushes, which can be hard. But as I said, that's where you would have your good air type to come in. But even then, it's a bit hard against heavy tanks, so that's fair. But other than that, it's a good division. And obviously against heavy tanks, the counter would be to take the map early because you have the forward deployed. 7th Panzer is a very good division in my opinion. The question is though, where do I put it? I think I'll put it probably above the Canadians. It has cheap T-72s, cheap T-55s, like in medium quality T-72s with the M and the M1s, which are good enough T-72s, let's put it like that. Decent AA, also good air tab actually, with good bombers, good recon tab, the Spezialaufklärer, which are airborne forward deployed with an AT launcher. Good infantry tab, not the biggest one, but it's good enough. I mean, you have AGLs. Like, basically, if you have AGLs in your infantry tab, you're already halfway there. And all your stuff is resolute. That's fantastic. Your infantry has a great loadout. Again, double LMG. Fantastic AT launcher on top of that. The BMP ones are still cheap enough. You can either take the one with the Malutka or the Fagot. I like the one with the Malutka because it's a little bit cheaper while not being that much worse than the Fagot, honestly. Yeah, it's just good. You also might notice that I really rarely talk about helicopters because, I don't know, I feel like there's very few divisions where the helicopters actually make a big difference. Like, for example, 101st Airborne. I mean, arguably you can say 4th also have like a decent helicopter tab, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's that important. And for 7th, again, it's just a standard Soviet helicopter tab of Mi-24s and Mi-8s. It's like, it's not great, it's not bad, it's like serviceable. 9th Panzer is, I think, worse than 7th Panzer, and it's kind of somewhere around here. Let's put it here. So, slightly behind 19th Czech. It just suffers from being super slow. So you either have to accept that you're super slow or do a helicopter opener. But that's obviously very risky. Like, if your enemy has something to counter helicopter openers, you're kind of dead in the water. And then you have to play the grind game, which can work because it has good tools to grind. But you might just fall behind too far in the early game. You have the Napalm Grad, which is great, But again, very expensive. Comes in quite late. But if you can survive the early game, it's very, very good. You have T-72 moves, you have T-72 M1s, and also one card of T-72S. It's only one card, but still very good. Also, again, standard East German decent AA tab. Air tab, I think, actually is worse than 7th Panzer because you're lacking the cheap options. But it's still good enough. Like, it just does everything you would need it to do, basically. And same with the infantry tab. And you also get BMP2s, which is cool. But, like, not as important as it was back in the day, where BMP2s were just broken as fuck. Well, Berliner Gruppierung is once again a division that I think I've not even played once ever. And I don't think it's that great. But I also don't think it's like horribly unusable. So I think it's going to be I think I'll put it behind 17, yeah. Because like you only have T-55s, which isn't great. But also isn't nothing. You can at least make some use of them. Your infantry is great. It's kind of just... It lacks something to punch through the enemy, I feel like. And that's kind of all I have to say about it. I just don't, I can't say that much about it, as I said. It's just, it's kind of there. It just feels boring to me. But, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should also try it out sometime. Maybe I should do like a Berlin stream where I play Berlin Command and Berliner Gruppierung. KDA, in my opinion, again, one of the underrated divisions right now. Like, unironically, I think it's somewhere in A tier. Probably low A tier. But yeah, I'll put it here. I need to have a few hot takes as well, so people click on the video. It's underrated because I see a lot of people not take the KDA Schützen, but take the Reservisten, which is just a catastrophic mistake. KDA Schützen have basically the same damage output, but they have 5 more HP. And you get more of them. And that's what they are. They are just a literal meat wave. Another critique is, oh, KDA doesn't have recon. I don't need recon. I have like 5 KDA squads just walking at the enemy. Like supported by their transports with their MMGs. I will see you. Like one way or the other, I will see you. And then I will have Malkas like deleting the ground from beneath your ass, or bombers doing the same. And then I will just slowly walk my way forward until you're not on the map anymore. And it works quite well, actually. It's probably not the best for tournaments, because it can be counterpicked. But even then, like, you really need a lot of DPS to get through the KDA Schützen fast enough. And you do still have ATGMs. You have a very good air tab. You have good AA. I don't think you have even anything that's resembling a good fighter. But you have books, so that's fine. And you do have, like, good enough tanks. They're not great, but they're good enough. And a great artillery tab with the Malka and Napalm Grad. So, like, yeah, I think it's very underrated. Rügener Gruppierung has a bit of a soft spot in my heart, even though I haven't played it a lot. Every time I played it, it was actually quite fun. And I think it's also a bit underrated, but it's also just, yeah, it's still not a very good division. So I think I'll put it somewhere in B tier. I think it's better than TKS. Probably. Yeah. As I said, the ranking inside the tiers isn't 100% accurate, but more or less. And Rügener is just fun, I feel like. They have a good assortment, or good enough assortment of tanks and ATGMs and infantry. AA obviously is Gamba central because you have the Krooks and no really good fighter. But then again, your bombers are also pretty good. Especially with the above you high altitude cluster bombers. Your Su-20 cluster bomber is now pretty nasty. Only 10% DCM though, so it's a bit risky, but it's fine. You have the KSK, which is a very decent squad. So yeah, I think it's kind of okay. Can get hard countered on certain matchups and maps though, which is why you rarely see it. Now let's move on to the Polish. My Polish friends. 4th Zmech. Formerly the meta-beating division. Has fallen off quite significantly. And is now in a bit of a slump. I did try it out a few months ago. I just didn't feel it at all. On paper, it should still be good. I don't know. I really couldn't make it work because it still has the fantastic Nivosh light helicopters. It has good T-55 spam, T-55 AS and AMS out the ass. But I mean, I'm just not good with them. I don't know. They never do their job for me. A decent air tab, like decent AA tab, decent infantry tab. But as I said, last time I tried it, I really couldn't make it work. I did rebuild the deck recently a little bit and wanted to try it out again. But yeah, you can see I wanted to try out a lot recently, but I just didn't have the time for it, unfortunately. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. So I think I'll put it in like high B tier, simply because I still think there is good stuff there. And I've also seen it in League. I can't remember how it performed though. I don't know whether people playing it won or lost, but I saw it at least. So, you know, it's still alive. It's not dead yet. Then we come to 20 Pancerna. That, of course, is still an extremely good division because it has the super fast forward deploy with the Honkeris. Was nerfed, to be fair, but the availability of them was nerfed, not the speed. So you still have the capability to have the super fast forward deployed. You again have cheap T-55s, T-72s, and high-end T-72s. So kind of the whole range of tanks you would kind of need, even though the Vilk, in my opinion, is actually kind of shit. It's like, it's not bad, it's also just not particularly great. You have decent air. You can like spam out so many MiG-21 fighters. They're not great, but you can get like 8 of them. So that's kind of how you play it, in my opinion. And you also have good bombers. Decent infantry, though it's not the greatest, to be fair. But you also have BMP2s, so it's kind of fine. You have the Dana, so autoloader artillery. It's not the best because it lacks range, so oftentimes when I use it, I feel like it's not performing as well as other autoloader artillery, but it's still fine. So I think 20th Pancerna is... I think it's low S tier still. It's not as good as it was before, where it was like, you know, high S tier coming close to the bullshit tier. But yeah, I think it's still in the contention for S tier. It might still be better than first armored, but yeah, with the buff to high altitude bombers, like first armored is just really scary. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Now Corpus. Well, I could be like a clickbait bitch and put it into like S tier, because in my heart it is S tier, but realistically it isn't. But honestly, I think it is high B tier. Like, I'm not even kidding. You just have to use it correctly. And it's hard to explain how to use it correctly. And there also are just matchups where you will just die. Like, it's just GG. But first of all, I think you need to have the MiG-29s and the MiG-21s. Because the MiG-29 alone can't win the air engagement. But, against a better fighter. But if you have a MiG-29 and a MiG-21, you can. It's more expensive, but it's not as expensive as having 2 MiG-29s, for example. This is something I rarely see used, so this is very important. Also, the MiG-21 can help with like diving helicopters, so if your enemy has like Apaches or something. Then also I use the heavy artillery. Again, I don't care what anybody says about, oh, it only has a 2 salvo length. It's still a great artillery piece. You just need to use both of them. Yes, that's expensive. Yes, that's annoying. But they will nuke tanks or AA or whatever. Like, basically anything you would want them to nuke. I played as a light tank spam division, which has worked very well for me, like, over the course of several months. Obviously, I don't play it exclusively, but still, from time to time. And you kind of just have to be very cautious of anything heavily armored. Of course, it's easier said than done, but that's why you have the Malkas, that's why you have your air tab. You need to just make everything on the map ATGM hell, because your ATGMs are shit, but you can get quite a lot of them, and really make the enemy fight where it is better for you. Now, of course, the problem then is a good player will just not fight you there and just give up this side of the map and go on another side where there might be a lot of open areas and just defeat you there. Well, that's why I put it in B tier, because it is counterable, there is counterplay, but it's still a decently good division, in my opinion. And it also got a honker wrist recently, so you actually have fast forward deployed as well. And you also have the what are they called, commandosi or whatever, the forward deployed special forces that can come in a helicopter, which is probably the fastest forward deployed in the whole game. So yeah, you have a lot of very good tools. Like, you have a lot of decent tools. Let's put it like that. Now we have Sixia. Sixia, in my opinion, also bullshit tier. Probably even above 2nd Panzergren. Just the fact that you have Books, MiG-31s, and MiG-21 fighters basically makes it impossible to play against for anything that relies on aircraft. Like, it's just GG. You just can't do anything. You can't camp their air spawn because they will just park their Book there and then your fighter gets retreated or killed. You can't engage them long range, of course, because they have the MiG-31. You can't overwhelm them because they can have a MiG-31 and like 1 or 2 MiG-21s. And they also have the Book on top of that as well. So this is all just completely no-go area. The air gameplay is just that. You can't do it. So everything else has to happen on the ground. And on the ground, like, if you look at it, it doesn't seem too crazy. But it's once again one of those cases where they just have everything they need. They have BMP-1 PGs, which is like a BMP-2 for the poor. But just that it's not actually bad. It's just, I mean, it doesn't have smoke, which is a problem. Let's be real. But considering anti-infantry firepower, I think it's actually better than the BMP-2. While being cheaper. The Motostrelki themselves are a decent enough squad with fantastic AT launchers. You have the Special Forces Luftsturmjäger, which are good squads. You have, obviously, RPO, like Napalm Infantry. No AGL's infantry teams, though. So this is a little bit of a problem. But you also get one card of East German Modschützen, which are double LMG Resolute infantry. So, again, fantastic squad. You have forward deployed. I think it's only recon forward deployed, but still the Spetsgruppe A, which have a satchel and an AT launcher, so you can at least contest the early game somewhat. And you have an assortment of tanks, which is very strong as well, with the T-64Bs, BVs, and the T-80B, and also the T-55A for the early game, and the Rapiro if you would want one. So it's just so toxic to fight against. Just because of the no-fly zone it establishes and everything else also being ass. And then you can also do a Me-Too urn opener and rush you off the map with a helicopter rush. It's just an incredibly strong division. And its bombers are also good because it gets the MiG-21 cluster bombers. And then either MiG-21 rockets or the L-39 HE bombers, which don't have the best survivability, but a pretty big bomb load for their price. So yeah, I think this division is just kind of broken, honestly. 25, yeah. Honestly, this division has been largely just forgotten about. I did like it back in the day, but it kind of was made obsolete by Skivik and his very fast play meta. I mean, it's not his fault, of course, but he popularized the fast early game, and their 25 just kind of collapses. I think there is a way to play it. T-Man tried it where you take BMP once in the infantry tab to have cheap infantry to buy more tanks. I think that can work. But it's still just very risky. You can get overrun fairly easily, I think. So I probably will put it somewhere in B tier. It's like, I think it's kind of similar to first Tankova. I think I put them together there. It has a lot of very good fighters though. I liked it a lot about the division. But yeah, with the very limited infantry tab as well, it's just hard to play. But you get 2 cards of Motorisierte with Recon BMPs and the Recon T64, but the Recon T64 also is a little underwhelming. It's just not that great. 27, yeah. This, in my opinion, is actually an S tier division. I think it's somewhere around those divisions. I'll actually put it a little bit higher than 20 Pancerna. I think they are kind of equal because 27 is slower in the early game, of course, but with the buff to the ADBVs, it's actually very strong. It has still a cheap tool in the tank tab with the Sprout, which is an ambush tool, but I mean, it's still good to have for the early game. It can also help against infantry. And then again, you have AGLs. You have a very good IFV in the BMP3. You have another very good IFV in the BMP2 AG, which is a BMP2 with a grenade launcher as well, but it also has smoke compared to the BMP1 PG. So you have a cheaper alternative to the BMP3 as well. You can also take your Motostrelki in trucks if you want to. You have napalm infantry. You have Metis. I'm pretty sure the Metis comes in a BTR 80. Your Recon also comes in BTR 80s, which are fantastic. You have GSR Recon. You have the exceptional Recon with the BR1, as always. You have Recon BMP2s. Your AA tab has also been buffed quite a bit, so the Tor now is actually good. The Tunguska has always been great. Your air tab is also good but expensive. There's not a lot of space, but the things you get are good. And then you also get a fantastic towed howitzer. It's just a very good division. I know, like, Dotspy always, like, not always, but when I was talking about on the stream, Dotspy said that it is very expensive, and I just completely disagree with him. I mean, yeah, sure, the tank tab doesn't have light tanks. I agree. But in the infantry tab, like, you have cheap alternatives to the BMP3. You aren't forced to take, like, a whole infantry tab of BMP3s. You have a choice. And that makes it so strong, because, like, you don't need more than 2 cards of BMP3s at VET 1 anyway. If you take them at VET 2, you maybe need 3 cards. But even then, 2 cards are probably enough if you micro them well. I don't, that's why I take 2 cards at VET 1. I think, at least. But yeah, I just think the division is very strong at this point. Very, very strong, actually. 35, yeah. Hard call to make, because they can still make your life miserable by spamming like 5 billion conquerors everywhere. And their infantry is actually kind of okay. It's not the greatest, but it's fine. Their air tab is also fine. With the buff to high altitude bombers, their cluster bombers have become quite deadly. And I think this is something that, like, a lot of people overlook for some reason, that helps out this division a great amount. They have probably the best seed plane in the whole game with the MiG-25 seed. Also the HE bomber MiG-25, which is also great. Albeit expensive, but great. Yeah, I just think the division, it kind of lacks good mechanized fire support because you have the BMD2s, but they're a bit squishy, of course, because they lack smoke. But like they're good enough, and I think this is, I think 35 is somewhere high B tier, maybe even higher. But I don't feel comfortable putting it in A tier. That would seem a little, extreme. But I think something like this is fine. No, I think it's still worse than 60 US. But yeah, the potential for ATGM hell is insane in this division. It truly is. Then we have 39, a division I've come to like quite a bit recently. It's kind of like Soviet 8th Infantry. It's just a great all-rounder. It does miss the light tank, or the lighter tanks that 8th Infantry has. But overall, it really is a great division. And I think I'll put it behind 7th Panzer. Yeah. I think it has a place in the meta, especially in tournaments as well, where other better divisions obviously get banned a lot. Its helicopters do struggle a bit because it has cheap helicopter tabs, but the helicopters aren't like especially great. I still take them because I want to try them. But yeah, it also doesn't have too many unique units, which makes people not want to play it, which is understandable. And it also has the MiG-27 LGB that nobody uses because it's complete dog shit, and that's understandable. Especially because your air tab is also expensive. So why the fuck would you waste 2 slots, which is like 6 activation points, on 2 LGBs that are not gonna do shit anyway? What's the point? So like, I completely understand that. Has a little bit of a slow early game as well. But I think overall, it's okay. Then we have 56, yeah. Now, this division, I would still say it's A tier. And actually pretty high A tier, I think. Probably I would probably still put it like here. Because sure, BMP2s aren't that great anymore, but you get a lot of them with veterancy. You also get them in the recon tab. You get pretty good recon actually. Forward deployed Stingers, Special Forces Stingers, like Stinger basics, but still. 3 cards of cost-efficient fighters. A good AT plane. Okay tanks. Again, not the greatest, but okay. Super high HP infantry as well, with free veterancy. Well, I just think it's a very good division. Sure, the BMP2 isn't as brain dead strong as it was before, but it's still strong. Especially in high numbers, which you get in this division with free veterancy. So, yeah, and the standard infantry as well is like, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's standard infantry. It does the job. And you get AGLs as well, if I'm not completely mistaken, with free veterancy as well. So, yeah, I think still very good division. Very scary. And 76, yeah. Now this division of... The thing is, I always think it shouldn't be D tier, because it's not that bad. But then every time I see somebody play it, it really doesn't perform too well, except when it's like T-Man. I think I'll put it like C tier. Because I can't honestly sit here and be like, yeah, the division is underrated when I haven't played it a single time in like ever. That would just be very dishonest of me. It just has the hard-hitting Conquerors and Conquerors M that you can't use that much. Because, like, if you play it in tournaments, you can't use it that much because people will just not pick a heavy division against you. And then your air is good, but it's all very expensive. And so, if you transition into air spam at the wrong time, so either too late or too early, you just lose the game. And I think that just makes it very awkward. It's like, it's a bit comparable to 3rd Armored, I feel like. where kind of the tools are there, mostly, but making use of them very well is incredibly difficult. Yeah, so I will just keep it in C tier. And now we have 79, yeah, and we all know where this division goes. It, of course, goes into the bullshit tier at the top, because this is just the most overpowered, broken division right now. The Su-24 Cluster 2 is a literal nuke bomber. It's almost impossible to dodge it, because the nukes, I'm saying already it's nukes, but they are basically nuclear bombs. The cluster bombs, the 500 kilogram ones, have such a high AoE that it's very hard to dodge. The Su-24 is very fast, so it also drops from very far away and has high ACM and decent agility, so it turns away fast as well. You have good fighters, good AA, also the Tunguskas are also good unseatable AA, very good recon, exceptional tank depth that has literally everything you would ever need. You have one of the best heavy tanks, one of the best light tanks, you have a Rapira as well, you have like standard heavy tanks with the T80BV as well, and the T80B for a little bit of a cheaper heavy tank. You have the BRDM Conquerors as well if you want more cheap ATGM spam on top of everything else. You have the standard Soviet helicopter tab, which is more than good enough. You have decent infantry tab with BMP2s, BMP1 PGs if we want to take them as well. AGL, Napalm, like, it just has everything. It has literally everything, and almost the best of everything as well. It is a bit absurd, honestly. And I'm pretty sure they also have recon BMP2s, actually. So, yeah, this division is just unbelievably broken right now. And they also have a pretty decent seat plane, actually, with the MiG-27 seat. So, yeah, this division just... And I am so beyond words that it gets like a few nerfs, and then the next patch is like, yeah, by the way, we made it all the T80BV variants cheaper. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we also buffed their ATGM now. Heh? But you already made them cheaper. Why are you now also buffing their ATGM? What the fuck is going on? I don't get it, man. I honestly don't get it. This division needs to be nuked from orbit. Like all those three, basically. But specifically 79, yeah. Needs to be nuked the hardest. Let's put it like that. 119th. Back in the day, that was actually one of my favorite divisions. I was very good with it. Like, that's a long time ago. It's about the time when T-Man also was very good with it. I was obviously worse than T-Man, but I was still very, very proficient at playing it. But then again, it kind of got made obsolete by the meta. It's just... You can lose a game so quickly. If you look away for like a second and lose a T80U, it's just over. If your enemy knows what they're doing. Or if it's a large map. Well, if your enemy has half a brain, he sees your T80U and he just goes on the other side of the map and it's GG, what are you gonna do? You don't have enough points to be everywhere at once. So, it's like... I think it's still a lot better than 3rd Armored. It does what 3rd Armored does, but better. But it's just still not very good. Or rather... It is kind of almost trivial to count. Not trivial, but it is rather easy to counter it. So actually, I will put it around this area. I think it's still better than those two divisions because we have the airborne forward deployed capacity at least. And you have the light tanks with the Tu-55s and then the heavy tanks with the ADU and UDs and also an assortment of great fighters like 25 here, for example. But overall, just hard to make it work well. Also with the map pool that we have right now. And now the last division, 157, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's probably also D tier. Like, nah, it's probably like better than 76, yeah. But yeah, it's somewhere here. It's just really not that great. You have the funny TikTok fighter, that's cool. Because it's air RNG, it can be like in the game that I uploaded, where I played against Bueno first, where like he flies into my spawn, turns away, I call in the T10 and another fighter. They go onto the S of the F-15 and just miss all their missiles, and he just gets away scot-free. Like, okay, cool. And then it's kind of game over. If you have like 1 or 2 bad like RNG engagements somewhere else, it's not looking good for you. So maybe there's a way to play it, and I just haven't found it out yet. But I also kind of don't want to. It's just not that great. Looking at it, I really don't need it that much. It's kind of also, I think, where this whole reservist slop came from. It was a time where we kind of got a lot of reservists that were kind of meh. I mean, DivMob was obviously game breaking. But yeah, 157 is one of those divisions where it's like, why does anybody need that? It's kind of like, okay, yeah, kind of like Rhin has become, or 152E, but 152E was at least voted in by the people, because the people are retarded, but, you know, there's a decent argument for it. But yeah, 157 and Rhin are really not great. So, yeah, that's it. I think that's pretty good tier list. I will also upload it to the Warriors. Now I need to quickly cut the video because kind of have to go to bed because we're leaving tomorrow. So wish me luck and that I don't take too much time. I probably will because I need to show all the decks as well. Oh god. Okay, well, so I need to stop rambling and get to work. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave your opinion in the comments. Please don't be toxic, otherwise I will cry. Also leave a like and a subscribe, because that would be epic. And tune into the streams. I will stream when I'm home again, as long as like everything's fine, nobody's sick, so on and so forth. Hope to see you there. Until then, have a beautiful day, and bye-bye.